Challenging myths and changing perceptions. That was the theme for April's Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Welcome into the Red Couch Rewind. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. That is where we will start our conversations today. I'm part of a group that grew out of an effort several years ago that reviewed the sexual assault kits that were sitting in evidence across the state. How many of them had been looked at, how many of them had not, and what should we do about it? So once that project was complete, several committees were asked to stick around, and I was asked to join one of them. It was an education subcommittee, and that is where these conversations started 3 years ago. What can we do to get the word out about sexual assault awareness during the month of April, which is a nationwide month to examine how we can raise awareness and promote education surrounding the issue of sexual assault? And I said, hey, we have the show, we have guests on, we like to talk about community issues that are of importance. This certainly qualifies there. So this will mark the third year that I've worked with the Kansas Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence to arrange a series of guests that would focus on sexual assault awareness. And this week on our podcast, I want to recap those conversations that took place over the month of April. Let's start with the Kansas Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence. Michelle McCormick is their executive director. Kim Bergman is a member of their Survivors Advisory Council. They join me to explain what that theme, challenge myths, change outcomes, really means. That theme is interesting, Michelle, because we talk a lot of times about victim blaming.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you know, we're kicking off the month, but we want this to be an important conversation all year round. And we think it's important, even I've been doing this work a very long time, and yet still like these myths and these ideas persist. And we think that if we can challenge those myths, make sure people really understand what's going on with this issue, then we are better equipped at getting them connected to services and also preventing and intervening for those who cause the harm.
What do you think is the number one myth?
I think that there are a couple that come to mind, but definitely one that sticks out is I think people think it's rare, or that it doesn't, you know, if it is reported, that it's falsely reported. And what we know is that 1 in 3 women and 1 in 5 men will experience sexual violence across their lifetime. And I think that people just don't think that that is, happening at that high of a level, but we know that it is, and likely it's underreported. So the data we do have is not even reflecting probably what's really happening.
So Kim, you know for a fact that this happens. What is a little bit of your story that got you involved in this?
Yes, so I got involved in child advocacy for child sexual abuse. So I am a survivor of child sexual abuse myself. We now know that I am at least one of 20 known survivors, all by the same coach. And so Michelle talked about myths, and oftentimes a myth you hear about is that why don't kids tell if this is happening to them? And studies show that most kids don't tell when it's actually happening. Only 30% of kids actually report their abuse while it's occurring. Many wait till later in life, some never tell.
And in your situation, what was the barrier there?
So for me, this was my coach, and it was important for me to have him as a coach. I didn't want to lose my spot on the team. Gymnastics was kind of my safe, in a way it was my safe place, but it was also a place where things were happening to me that were not good as well. But I knew if I told, I was scared that I would be believed. While this was happening to me, I didn't realize this was happening to others as well. And unfortunately, I saw firsthand how people were treated when they actually reported being abused by this person. There were other female coaches that actually reported that they were being abused, and when he was fired, they weren't believed. Other parents accused them of making up allegations for the hours. And so for me as a 12-year-old kid, I'm thinking, if these 20-year-old girls that I look up to are being treated so horribly, why would I want to say this was happening to me as well?
How do we change that part of it? I mean, that's not even a myth. I mean, that was reality that you saw happening there. How can we change that narrative? Because you talk about changing the outcome. Believing people obviously is going to change the outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of it is we have to have this very difficult conversation. You know, this subject matter is hard for people to talk about. It's hard for us to think about. But by Kim and others bravely speaking about this, then we really create an environment where more people can come forward, can be heard, and then can be believed. And so I think that's a big part of it.
It is so easy, right? When you don't hear something, people sometimes ask us, why do we go to somebody like Kim and say, would you be willing to share your story publicly? That's part of it, because if you don't see a real face to put with something, sometimes it's easy for us to not think it's happening to real people.
Absolutely, and I think people think of that it's a scary person who's hiding in the bushes, but really we know that it's people, frequently the person who's causing harm is someone who's well known to the victim, a coach, a family member, an acquaintance, someone who they're in a relationship with. And so by demystifying some of these ideas, then we can really help folks identify what's really going on.
How much progress are we making, Kim? And let's ask this against the backdrop of, I asked you when you came in here, what did you feel about the legislative session this year? You were among those advocating for Aaron's Law. It did not pass this session, but you still feel you made some progress?
I think we made great progress. We had so many legislators and community organizations that were so supportive of the bill, both Republicans, Democrats. We really thought the bill was going to go through this year just because everyone supported it so well. I think there was a little bit of discrepancy and a little bit of misleading information on how to best implement Aaron's Law.
And this is requiring education in schools.
Yes, so this would require body safety education once a year, K through 12 in public schools. Each district would get to choose how this is implemented. They would choose the curriculum, who does the presentations, and parents would also have a choice to opt out. So we wanted to make sure local control was there. If one district is already doing a program like this, like here in Topeka, we have Lifehouse. They're doing an amazing job. We don't want them to change it. We want them to be able to do the program that they're doing. But there's also 23 counties in Kansas that don't have a child advocacy center that are able to come in and do that work. So there are other free curriculums that are available to be used. And we just want to make sure this information is getting to the kids.
Okay, there's a starting point for next session. We've got the numbers on your screen, Michelle. So for the Kansas Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence Coalition, you can connect them with what? A KISS?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website will show anyone across the state of Kansas where they can access the 24-hour crisis services if they're experiencing sexual or domestic violence.
And if you need help right now, that number was right there on your screen. I will have it on WIBW.com, and we are going to continue the conversation throughout the month as well. So you will definitely be seeing it again. Michelle, Kim, thank you both. Appreciate you. From there, our conversation continued to look at how preventing sexual assault really involves everybody. We all play a role in it. Gail Hunter also is a member of the KCSDV Survivor Advisory Council. Mike McGraw is the communications director for the organization. They joined me to take a look at that topic. Welcome to both of you.
Hello.
And survivors' voices are so important. Gail, how did you get involved in this cause?
I was sexually assaulted almost 6 years ago, drugged, and I just knew that we had to do something.
In the aftermath, though, what were you thinking? Was it an immediate, oh, I'm going to speak loudly and speak often about this, or what else were those outside factors weighing on you?
Whether I'd be believed, the fear of how I'd be treated, those myths exist in public opinion and in the person who's attacked. And so sometimes you don't even recognize exactly what happened. So it's really scary.
How common are these myths like Gail's talking about that she experienced firsthand?
Almost every survivor goes through some version of this, and it's something that is so common in our communities that this is why we highlighted that myths have to be confronted, and this is how we change the outcomes, by talking about them.
How did you journey to finally speaking up and realizing that people do believe and people are there to help?
It was a process because sometimes you're believed and sometimes you're not, and you have to get to a point to where you feel like you're going to survive.
So the education part of it then, Mike, if a friend comes to you like Gail and says this happened, what should be our reaction and what are some things that we should do?
Realize you don't have to have all the answers. Realize that it's really important to just be there and listen. That's what somebody's looking for first in that moment, is to be believed and heard. And there are so many resources available. There's the state hotline with SafeLine Kansas. There's individual member programs who can provide advocacy support. You can contact them and get guidance. You don't have to have all the answers when somebody talks to you about this has happened to them. They're really just looking for you to let them know it's going to be okay.
What do you find most helpful, Gail? And even, there's the immediate aftermath, but then there's this journey forward. Things you don't say, okay, we're at the 1 week mark, everything's great. Never going to happen, never going to think about it again.
Yeah, no, it's there. I think I find helpful when people tell you it's okay, it's not your fault, you are believed, there are resources and there are help, and it's okay to be fearful of maybe coming forward and talking about it or reporting. Those fears are real. In our society, we have some commonalities that we need to change.
What would you think are some of those?
I think some of the myths are that if you speak out, you are going to be picked apart, you're going to be blamed, you're going to be shamed. And, sometimes we do that enough to ourselves. What we really need is people to guide us through this process. It is a journey and it changes as you go. And I always say, kind of hold your hand and let you know someone's got you. They see you, they hear you, they're there for you. They'll listen and help find the resources you may need.
Where do we find the resources, Mike?
So you can start by going to kcsdv.org, where you can find details on the services that are available and member programs across the state who have advocates that can help. You can also contact SafeLine Kansas. They have a 24/7 hotline and text line that you can reach out to, and it's exactly as Gail said. It doesn't have to be just in the moment of crisis. We're trying to let people know, whether it happened last week, last month, or 3 years ago. If you need help, somebody can be there to talk to you.
There's that periodic check-in. What do we start now then? How do we change the narrative that this is something that shouldn't be spoken of publicly and we must keep silent? How do we change that mindset?
The easiest thing to start with is recognize that if something is wrong, you can say it's wrong. You don't have to be the white knight. You don't have to have all the answers. But if something is happening around you and you know that somebody's uncomfortable, check in with them, ask if they're okay, or speak up and say, hey, that's not okay. I'm not going to let that happen. That little step is all it really takes to start making the change.
What is the biggest lesson learned, Gail?
Well, when we're talking about the myths and stuff, no one person can fix this. There's no fixing, right? But we can change the norms of what our society believes and thinks sometimes about assault victims. And it's each person doing their little bit in their conversations, their little bit at home with their families or friends or at their workplace. Like Mike said, not allowing things that are not appropriate.
Yeah, teach respect.
It's okay.
Here are those resources Mike mentioned as well. I'll have them online, kcsdv.org, and then that SafeLine Kansas is 1-888-363-2287. Gail, Mike, thank you both. Appreciate you. Take care. So once we get everybody involved, what happens to survivors afterward? That's a really important piece of that puzzle. Support doesn't just happen in the immediate aftermath of a crisis, but it truly is something that is ongoing. Elizabeth Evans is with the Kansas Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence. Rachel Freeman is with one of our great area organizations, SOS in Emporia. They joined me to talk about that support. Welcome to both of you. Appreciate you. And this is a big deal because crisis services are the first thing that we're talking about, Elizabeth. What does that mean in terms of crisis services?
Crisis services basically means the services that are provided and available to a survivor when they are first experiencing an assault or the immediate moments after. So that can be getting them into the hospital for medical care, or also getting them into shelter.
What's going on in those immediate moments that a person might be experiencing where maybe they're not quite sure where to turn?
Yeah, so there can be a lot of confusion. There can be just a lack of understanding about what options are available to them, and just like those initial effects of trauma.
So then we talk about the ongoing services, Rachel, and what is it that happens after that immediate response is over that needs attention?
It could be anything that they want, whether that be coming in to meet with an advocate on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis. We get them into a therapist. We have an SOS therapist too, actually on set. We can also help them with any court stuff that may be continuing, any law enforcement stuff that's continuing. We're there for as long as they want us. What
might happen in those weeks and even months and even years afterward that a survivor may not realize in the moment?
Can you say that?
Well, because I think people think, okay, you get attention from the hospital, you talk to law enforcement, and then you go home.
Yeah.
And everything's fine.
Yes.
And it's not fine.
Healing is like a roller coaster. One day you may think you're fine, the next day you're not. So having that ongoing support for even years, I mean, I've had clients for multiple years they really need that because some people don't have that at home.
And that's kind of tough to realize that there may not be that support at home. How important is the victim's voice? Because I imagine, Elizabeth, this isn't going to look the same for everybody.
That's correct. Yeah. So really, when we're working with survivors, we really want to focus on their individual choices and go at their pace and center their needs and wherever they may be at the time they're seeking services.
How much of a variety, Rachel, especially with SOS, do you offer?
We offer a variety of services. So we have our shelter, we have our therapist, we have our advocates, we even have like a visitation and exchange center upstairs, forensics for like kids. So we have a lot to offer. We just want to get them the resources they need, especially if it's that they need financial support. Maybe we can help them find that, help them find housing support, those kind of things.
In Emporia, how wide of an area do you serve?
We serve 5 counties, so we have Lyon, Chase, Morris, Osage, and Coffee. So we serve a lot of.
That's a lot of rural area in there as well. What is the difference in a rural area, or how much more difficult maybe sometimes can it be for people to connect?
It's pretty hard because of those small towns, like just getting our word out there, because sometimes people, there's that stigma still, like they don't need help, they just need to handle it on themselves. And so it's important for us to get ourself out there so people can know about us and come get the help that they need.
Well, the governor's office did just announce $2 million in grants to various organizations across the state. SOS got some of that money, which I'm sure is very vital. You see that all the time, Elizabeth, I'm sure at KCS-TV. These things aren't exactly free. It would be nice if it didn't cost money to provide services, but it does. How do you try to make sure that things are available statewide?
Yes, so I think part of it is just keeping in contact with all of the programs statewide that offer the services to survivors and working with the governor's grants office, things like that.
How do you keep them accessible so that people are able to connect and find them? Where do we look?
Yes, so the KCS-TV website has a service map that shows you based on county or even city what services or what program is going to be relevant to you based on where you are. You can also call the Kansas Safe Line.
And we have that number. We can put it on the screen if you don't mind there, because that way people can get a look at it.
Yes.
And when is that available, that 888-363-2287?
That is available 24/7. So anytime you can call and they will connect you with the program that's appropriate to where you are located.
And there also is that text line now. And Rachel, if you could touch on this, because this is a statewide number that you can text SAFE to 847411, but they can also text directly to you guys, right?
Yes.
Isn't it?
So we have a 24-hour also helpline, but we also have a 24-hour text line. So sometimes it may not be safe to call, so they can shoot us a message. It'll go to our helpline staff, and that helpline staff will get it to an advocate who's on call.
And in that case, are they texting SOS or something like that? Is that what yours is? It's on your website. I do
It
know
is
that.
on our website. I think it's SOS Kansas.
Very good.
KS.
And I will get that information on WIBW.com as well, because there's a lot there. And if you couldn't memorize those phone numbers or get them in your phone right away, you can look it up later on. Elizabeth, Rachel, thank you both so much. Appreciate you. Support, though, can mean different things for different survivors. We took a look at that in our final conversation to wrap up the month. We also talked about how prevention, we might need to change our definition and thought process on what prevention really means. That was a great conversation. Kathy Ray is with the Crisis Center in Manhattan. Sarah Berea is with the Sexual Trauma and Abuse Care Center, STA Care Center in Lawrence. They had great perspectives to offer. Welcome to both of you, and also congratulations, Kathy just got a statewide award for her advocacy.
Thank you very
congratulations on that. Both of you are in college towns as well, which I think adds a whole new dynamic to the conversation.
Yes.
Prevention encompassing what happens after violence, Kathy. That's a unique perspective. Why is that important, and what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, the community has a big role to play in preventing sexual assault and sexual violence, and there are a number of things we can do after a survivor comes forward or after there is an investigation of a sexual assault or rape. There are a number of things the community can do to both support the survivor, have accountability for the perpetrator, but also prevent it from happening again. And so that's what we're talking about, is how we respond as a community is really important.
When there's accountability, Sarah, how does that make a difference for the future?
It makes a difference, because then somebody is held accountable, or somebody steps up and says, it is my fault. we shift from victim blaming to actually saying that this didn't happen because of something you did. Somebody just chose to cause harm because of their own issues or whatever. They want to take control from the survivor and victimize them. So accountability gives comfort to the survivor, knowing that something has been done for the harm that has been caused to me.
The other part of that then is support for the survivor. Why is that important in future prevention?
Absolutely. Well, you know, support when the incident, immediately after the incident, is really important. But many survivors, many victims and survivors, they may not disclose immediately. It may be a year, 2 years, 10 years down the road. That support needs to be ongoing because, you know, survivors, it's different for everyone, but how that is received is really important.
This whole theme for the month has been about shifting perceptions, challenging myths, and I think the conversation on prevention really goes into that. Yeah. We talk about college campuses, right? I remember even way back when I was in college, and the conversation was, ladies, you need to be aware. You need to be aware of your surroundings. Be careful of your behavior. Don't go out and drink too much because you're going to be putting yourself in a vulnerable situation.
Right.
You rolled your eyes inside there, Sarah. Exactly. Why is that part of the problem, and where does the prevention focus needs to be shifted to?
The focus needs to be shifted on the perpetrators. That's what the persons who caused harm. When we look at survivors and say, why did you go out at a certain time, or be careful where you're going to, you're victim blaming. You're not putting the blame squarely on the shoulders of those who should take responsibility for those actions. I think we re-victimize survivors when we start asking them, why did you, or how did you, or what did you? That's not the issue. When they tell you that they've been victimized, the first question is, how can we support you?
That's right.
What can we do to get you to a place of healing? Asking questions about why, what they should have done, could have done, is not the right way to actually walk with them through their healing process. We need to hold those who are accountable. If you cause harm, you should be held accountable. Do not question survivors as to why they didn't do anything. It's like you're blaming them for what happened to them.
There's a very powerful exhibit, and I think both of your communities have hosted it,
Yes.
the What Were You Wearing
Yes.
exhibit, exactly, and that kind of plays into that.
Right.
I think also one thing you all have stressed, and I think this is important as well, how is this going to look different? Is there one roadmap for every single survivor out there?
Absolutely not. Everybody is unique. Everybody's needs are unique. One person may decide to report to law enforcement and go through the criminal justice system and utilize that process for justice. The next person may want to seek support through therapy or counseling or a sexual assault center, which are the services that we provide in our communities. And so it looks different for everyone. And that's really important, that they have those choices, that they have the options and are able to decide for themselves what will work best for them.
How empowering is that for a survivor to have choice?
Very empowering, because when you're coming from a place of victimization, you want to take your voice back. When you walk into the care center, for example, you're like, I'm here. Sometimes people say, I don't even know why I'm here. We're like, we get it. What can we do? What support do you need? They may or may not have reported, like you said. Sometimes they just need someone to sit with them and believe them, saying that they just experienced something horrific and they just want someone to believe and support them. And that support reinforces to them that the community is behind them. Yeah. So our work is to say, I believe you. I'm here for you. What can we do together?
And it's an important conversation to have and be public about. On your screen are some places to find resources. The Kansas Coalition of Sexual and Domestic Violence has a whole list of resources throughout the state. So in your area, go to kcsdv.org. If you need assistance at any time, you can call the Safe Line Kansas hotline, 888-363-2287, or text the word SAFE to 847-411. I will have direct contact information for both the Crisis Center and the Care Center on WIBW.com afterward. Thank you for the work that you do. These are fantastic conversations, and the empowerment, giving survivors their voices back. And notice we use the word survivors. They're not victims anymore. They're survivors.
Yes, survivors.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
Thank you.
We have so many great organizations around Northeast Kansas, I'm sure in your area as well. Reach out if you need support. Reach out if you want to join this mission, this advocacy mission to raise awareness in Kansas, the Kansas Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence. Just go to their website. They have organizations from across the state. Just real easy. Look at their map and you can get in touch with someone in your area. Great conversations for the month of April, but we had a lot more coming through the studio for us as well. Some important deadlines are coming up, including for anyone who owns property and needs to pay taxes. Those conversations when the Red Couch Rewind continues. Welcome back into the Red Couch Rewind, where we recap some of those conversations you've heard on Eye on Northeast Kansas, the TV show. It comes to you live Monday through Friday, 4 o'clock Central Time from our WIBW studios in Topeka. You can catch it all on the live stream on WIBW.com. Here's a date that property owners maybe don't exactly want to talk about or think about. That's right. In the state of Kansas, May 10th is the deadline to pay your second half property taxes. Good news, you get an extra day this year, if that can be good news when you're parting with some of your money. May 10th is a Sunday, so the deadline is May 11th. The Shawnee County Treasurer Susan Duffy visited the Red Couch with some important reminders and things to consider no matter where you live in Kansas. Reminders. Welcome to you. We said we're going to get you out of the way first.
Well,
because nobody likes to talk about property taxes.
No, I don't either, but it's what I do for a living.
And we need them.
Yes, we do. I mean, you think in Shawnee County, all the cities, all the fire districts, the 9 school districts, the watersheds, the townships, they are all funded by property tax. We levied $323 million worth of property tax this year, and so far we've still got about a third of it to go. So some of it is first half, but most of it is the second half is still due. And actually you have till May 11th
May
this
11th,
year.
you give us an extra day. Okay, because that's Sunday is May 10th. Okay.
Right, so you have till May 11th, till midnight. So come in and see us at the courthouse, or you can drop a check off at the annex at 5938 Southwest 17th. Just drop a check and we'll send you a receipt. Or you can go online to our secure website with ICANN and pay there. And if you pay with a credit card, there is a 2.5% courtesy fee that you have to pay. But come see us, get it done. You know what? It's a lot. We ask a lot of our citizens, and we thank you for what you do. But this tax is what funds our community.
Right. You can debate whether there's too much or if it should be a different way or not, but the bottom line is this deadline is this deadline. And this is not something you made up. This is, I imagine, this is universal statewide.
Statewide, every county, May 11th, and it is, it's by law. So come in, see us, and let's get it done so that you don't have to pay interest or any additional fees, because after May 11th, those will start accruing on your account. And if you've already paid off your house, you know, usually when you have a mortgage, that's part of it. But if you think about setting up a little savings account that each month that same amount of money goes in there, so it's not such a shock when that December 20th deadline comes for the first half.
Well, that is a good reminder, though. If you've had something change with your financial situation in terms of you had a mortgage, you made that last payment, you feel so free, but now this is a bill that you actually do have to worry about yourself instead of the bank doing it for you.
Right, so set something up, or you can make periodic payments to us. We'll accept those. You can go online and do that as well, but get it done so it's not this big chunk that is looming out there. Like I said, we know it's a lot, but I thank people. They walk in and we thank them, and our clerks are standing by waiting to serve you, and we're open 8 to 4:30.
If you know that you can't pay everything by May 11th, are there any other options? Is there anything they can do to talk to you and say, okay, can you set up the payment plan then, or is that too late?
That is too late. You'll be charged interest and fees. But also check to see if you're eligible for homestead money, and for that, call the county clerk's office and find out if you're eligible to receive some homestead money to offset what you owe.
So that could be a little bit of a help
Yes.
there. Does Shawnee County still have the drop box in the courthouse parking lot?
We do have the drop box, so please, you don't even have to come in. And during tax season, we do check it 3 times a day. So yes, it's secure. Drop it off, and we'll take care of your payment that way as well.
And I know you got cameras on it too, so anyone who thinks they can
Yes.
get away with anything, because there was an incident a couple of years ago,
Yes.
but right away you were able to identify whose were missing and all of that.
Yes, we were, and we were able, somebody had pretty much torn it apart, but we were able to take care of it.
And it's very,
Yes.
very, very secure now.
Yes, it
Extra
is.
super secure, if you will.
Extra super. Yes.
You have your staff there standing by. Again, what are your hours in Shawnee County?
In Shawnee County, 8 to 4:30. And if you are mailing it, I really suggest you give it 3-4 days. This is not overnight mail anymore, so don't think it's got to be postmarked by May 11th.
It has to arrive by May 11th.
Postmarked.
Okay,
It doesn't
okay.
have to arrive, because sometimes it'll be postmarked and we get it a few days later, but make sure it's postmarked by May 11th.
Take it in, or better yet, just come see them. They're
Come
friendly
see-
folks.
We're here.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Susan.
I'll be out in the hallway picking them up as well. As you're standing there, I'll be taking your check.
No wait, there you
Yeah.
go. Thank you.
Thank
well,
you.
Remember that deadline and contact your own local county treasurer's office if you have questions or concerns or just need to know how things work. The National Association of Letter Carriers has an important initiative that they undertake every year. It happens the second Saturday in the month of May. It is called Stamp Out Hunger. In the Topeka area, they are no exception. Jerry Loney is with the National Association of Letter Carriers. Amy Pinger represents Harvesters. They are a food bank that serves food pantries and mobile food distributions all around Northeast Kansas and the Kansas City area. They visited Eye on Northeast Kansas to let us know how everyone can get involved to stamp out hunger. Welcome to the both of you, first of all.
Hello.
And this is, Amy, we've talked a lot about food insecurity these days. How big is the demand that you're seeing at Harvesters?
Yeah, the demand keeps continuing to rise because we know that grocery store prices have continued to rise throughout the pandemic and are at very high at this point. So 1 in 7 individuals in our community, which includes 1 in 6 children, are needing food assistance.
That is a big need.
It's a big need.
And so the letter carriers, it's not just this new need, Jerry. What have you been doing for, gosh, many, many years now, and what do we need to do here in a couple weeks?
It's always the second Saturday of May, and we will send out a postcard this week. Next week we'll put in all the mailboxes a bag with the label on it.
Oh, I'll hold it up if I can get it apart. So this is what we're going to get in our mailboxes.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to open it. Can I open it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And they can
Just a little
put food in there.
grocery sack.
A lot of times they'll take a paper bag and put food in there. They won't use the same bag, but they'll put that bag back in because they think it's like a receipt. They'll put that in with all non-perishable boxed items and canned goods. And then Harvesters helps us put that together, and then they give that out to many different food banks throughout Topeka and Shawnee County.
And just set this filled with food out by our mailbox.
Yes. Don't
Now-
put it in the mailbox.
Okay.
If they put it in the mailbox, we, the mail carriers, have to pick that up. But we have Harvesters coming out alongside
So
with
they kind
us.
of follow you.
Yes.
So for example, if I'm along a busy street where it's not kind of a walk-up one, the mail carrier typically just pulls over. You guys are going to be in a vehicle behind, and if it's on the ground or something, you'll be able to scoop it on up.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
send out volunteers ahead of time, and so it's kind of like a citywide scavenger hunt for them. So we're still recruiting volunteers if people are interested, but they go out and help because it really takes us all doing this to make it happen every year.
Exactly.
How successful has this been, Jerry, with the postal carriers?
It's been fantastic. In the last 30 years, we've collected 1.92 billion pounds of food
In a day.
in one day. We're the largest one-day food drive ever.
And so once you guys all get it, where is it going to go from our mailboxes once it gets to Harvesters?
Yeah, so we take it back, we sort it out. We have volunteers come and do that as well. And then it is allocated back to our Topeka agencies. So all of the food collected here comes back to Topeka exclusively, which is really cool.
So when we tell people about the food distributions and those drive-through food
Yep.
pantries, it's all part of it's going to come from this one day.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's 45 different partner agencies here in Topeka and Shawnee County, and they're the ones that get access to this food.
Okay.
So we're so excited about it.
So look for your bag in your mailbox this week, and then tell us the date one more time, Jerry.
May 9th, it's always the second Saturday of May every year. The Stamp Out Hunger, National Association of Letter Carriers, United States Postal Service, food drive.
And all helping harvesters through our area. Thank you both. Appreciate you being here. Again, super simple. All you need to do is put that donation of non-perishable food next to your mailbox. Jerry said not in your mailbox, next to your mailbox, because the volunteers are going to follow them along and stock the shelves of those food pantries and those distribution trucks all across the area. We have another event coming up that is part of a program that I was part of the best class ever. Okay, that is the joke. Leadership Greater Topeka is a program where every class is the best class ever. I personally think 2011, my year, was in fact the best class ever, but this year might perhaps dispute that a bit. They culminate the classes. These are sessions that take place over the course of several months. They culminate their sessions with a gala. May 15th is the date this year. Michelle Stubblefield with the Greater Topeka Partnership joined us to talk a bit about what this program is and some folks who are going to get special recognition this year. Welcome to you.
Thank you.
Now, the joke, of course, is that everyone's class is the best class ever. But we know the truth that it was 2011.
So they say. So they say.
What do you think is the best class ever?
They're all my favorite.
You're not going to pick one?
I'm
now that you're in charge of the program,
one.
you can't pick one.
Yeah, no, I can't. They're all my favorite. They're all my first children.
What is LGT, for those who aren't familiar with the program?
LGT is a 42-year leadership program. Its primary goals are to provide leadership concept training, learn more about Topeka, build a lifelong network, and then hopefully once you've gained all these experiences, you'll be ready to serve Topeka in any way that you find passion for.
And this, we're not talking about a certain age group. I mean, what is kind of the range of folks who people are nominated, they go through an interview process and then they're selected, but what are you all looking for when you create a class?
Anywhere between 17 years old on up. We want to have a diverse set of individuals. We really want it to basically reflect the diversity of our community. So anybody who's a high school kid with a CEO, with someone who's retiring to someone's in the middle of their career.
You really do form great friendships when you're in an LGT class. So you, the past several years, you have started honoring alums with special awards. This year is no exception. Who are some of your honorees this year?
We have 3 different style awards. The first one is the Rising Star, and that is Emerson Fraser Freeman. She is with Stormont Vale, fantastic young lady. We have Damon Shore, who's with Mars Wrigley. Then we have an Activator Award, that is Dr. Lauren Edelman, and then
she's from Washburn, I believe.
Washburn University, and then Jonathan Sublett, who's the founder of Scent.
And he's been here before.
Yeah.
and then your big award.
Our big award is a Marcia Sheehan Legacy Award. Marcia Sheehan was the original kind of originator of Leadership Greater Topeka, and we are awarding former Mayor Michael Padilla.
And all of them have been through LGT?
All of them have been through LGT. The Rising Star Awards are those who are kind of up and coming, they're involved, they're really aspiring. Others, we know they're going to be around for a long time. Activator Award are those who have demonstrated their leadership and now they're kind of passing that on to others, mentoring them, teaching them, how to lead in this community. And then obviously the Marcia Sheehan Legacy Award is someone who has lived a career providing leadership to others and continues even after retirement or anything else. It's a lifelong journey of leadership.
Absolutely. So you have a fun theme planned for the night. What all happens at the gala?
The gala this year is Bollywood. One reason we kind of created this theme is because we have such wonderful diversity in this community, and the Indian community is so cherished. So we thought, what can we learn? Because leadership in the program is a lot about learning, understanding, gaining perspective. So we've worked with some of the leadership in our Indian community, and they're providing us dancers. We've done some meetings on what kind of food should be presented, the colors, the culture. We're going to have some education on that as well, all while honoring our award recipients as well as our class that's completed the program.
It's going to be super fun. The graduation gala is from 6 to 8:30 May 15th at Prairie Band Casino and Resort. Get your tickets for $95 at topekapartnership.com/LGT-Gala-2026. You don't have to be an alum or anything like that in order to attend. You can just come and have fun and celebrate leaders in Topeka.
You can come and have fun. Yes, it's one of the funnest events we do.
I appreciate it. Michelle, thank you so much. It's a great program. Super fun. You learn a lot about your community.
Yeah.
Again, May 15th is the date. It is another best class ever. They truly are. A lot of great people involved this year. So save the date if you'd like to do that, or if you want to just head online and learn more about the program. Remember, you can see all of these videos and videos from all of the guests that come through our studios on Eye on Northeast Kansas. Just head to WIBW.com, click the Eye on Northeast Kansas icon. We also have our own section on YouTube and on our WIBW, Roku, and other device streaming apps. Always glad to have you along. Until next time, we'll see you on the Red Couch.